And we can begin in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Pierce County Council's Monday study session for July 27th, 2026. The time is 11 a.m. and most council members are present. We have the vice chair is joining us virtually, and council members Kruver and Morrell are excused. So we're going to jump right into the review of our council agenda for tomorrow. Ms. Long, we'll go to you.
All right, thank you and good morning. This is your amended meeting schedule for tomorrow afternoon's regular council meeting. We'll start with your consent agenda. And you have a few items for introduction and scheduling. There are 5 collective bargaining agreements here. All of these you'll be setting the final on for August 25th. The first is O-2026-547. This is a collective bargaining agreement with Council 2, Washington State Council of County and City Employees, AFL-CIO Local 3752, Pierce County Corrections and Detention Center non-uniformed group. Next is an agreement reached with the Pierce County Deputy Sheriff's Independent Guild, Local 1889 Community Service Officers. The third is O-2026-549, and this is an agreement reached with Council 2, Washington State Council of County and City Employees, AFL-CIO Local 120. This is the juvenile court unit. The fourth is O-2026-550. This is an agreement reached with Council 2, Washington State Council of County and City Employees, AFL-CIO Local 120 PAO. Okay, same final. And last, you have O-2026-551. This is an agreement with Council 2, Washington State Council of County and City Employees, AFL-CIO Local 120 General Unit. So those are all on your consent agenda. You have no items for final action on your consent agenda for proposals. And then you do have 4 grant applications, which we will discuss during study session following the review of the agenda. The first of those is, the first 3 are Transportation Improvement Board grants. First is Safe Routes to School B Street East, 159th Street East to 152nd Street East. The second is Safe Routes to School B Street East, 176th Street East to 192nd Street East. And the third is 2026 Urban Arterial Program. This is CRP 5906. This is the intersection of 46th Avenue East and 208th Street East. The fourth is an Office of Violence Against Women grant. This is legal assistance for victims of domestic violence, dating violence, stalking, and sexual assault grant program. Moving to item F, and I would ask for the council's approval to add a motion here, and the motion would be to rescind and reset the final on proposal O-2026-545. This is amending claims by and against Pierce County, that chapter of code. It's currently set for August 18th, and the proposal is to move that final to August 25th. So if you're okay with that, we will add a motion to tomorrow's agenda to do that. Moving to section 7, proclamations, you do have one item, and that is a proclamation of the council and executive proclaiming August 2026 as Overdose Awareness Month in Pierce County. And that was requested by council members Denson and Hitchin. I don't know if you want to talk about who will read that tomorrow.
Councilmember Denson, are you okay if I read that one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Chair Hitchin will be reading that tomorrow. Thank you. Moving to section 8, resolutions, you have 2 items. First is our 2026-170S. This is approving additional positions in the Human Resources Department, Finance and Enterprise Services Department, the Juvenile Court, and the Prosecuting Attorney's Office. This received a due pass as substituted at rules on July 14th. Next is our 2026-174, and this is adopting a new organization chart for the Office of the Pierce County Council. This received a due pass recommendation at Rules and Operations on July 21st. Moving now to section 9, ordinances. You have 5 proposals here. First up is O 2026-535. This is repealing Chapter 2-111 of the Code Notice of Funding Availability Process and amending Section 448-020 to be consistent with that repeal. This received a due pass at rules on July 14th. Next is O 2026-536, and this is granting a non-exclusive franchise to Fatbeam LLC for a wireline system on county rights-of-way. This received a due pass at rules on July 6th. Number 3 is O 2026-537. This is granting a non-exclusive franchise to Ziply Fiber Pacific LLC. This received a due pass at rules on July 6th, and there is one amendment to this that we will discuss shortly. Number 4 is O 2026-538. This is granting a non-exclusive franchise to NFC Northwest LLC for a wireline system. This received a due pass at rules on July 6th, and there is one amendment to this proposal as well. And last, you have O 2026-546. This is related to wage adjustments for non-represented employees of the Office of the Pierce County Council and amending the salary classification plan. This received a due pass at rules on July 21st, and there is one amendment to this proposal also. So those are your agenda items for tomorrow afternoon's regular council meeting.
Thank you. And this morning at Rules, we did approve the meeting agenda that made the change to the final date that Ms. Long brought up. So just checking to see if there are any concerns about moving that item to the end of the month. Okay, no one's jumping up and down, so we'll just make that happen on the agenda tomorrow. Other questions on the council agenda? And again, I have you just able to turn your mics on and off. Okay, not seeing any. So we will move on to grants. No, amendments. Amendments, yes. Next, before grants. So close, Mr. Boki.
Thank you, Chair Hitchin. Yes, we have amendments to both O 2026-537 and 538, which are the Ziply franchise and the NFC Northwest franchise. For those who weren't in committee, just so Ziply and NFC Northwest are the same telecom system that runs through that they're building out in unincorporated Pierce County. NFC Northwest is essentially the spine of the system, where Ziply is the commercial name going from curb to door. So it's one system, 2 franchises for the different components of that system. The same amendment is being run on both, and it's similar to the amendment you saw for Easy Fiber, taking both the 10-year franchises down to that 5-year time limit. That's within the scope of authority of the county to do so. As the code says, no more than 10 years. It does not fix 10 years as the duration of those franchises.
Thank you. And do both of these entities, because it's split out, they both do work in the right of way?
Separately, yes. The main work in the right of way is going to be the backbone of the system, but when going from curb to the house, there is access to the right of way.
Okay.
In some cases.
So, and as I said, I was going to treat all the same that hadn't done business. We'll leave it to my colleagues to see if people agree, but as these entities have not had the same level of concerns raised just here in Pierce County, but to be fair, I said I'd offer it to all, and I'm going to offer it for all. So any questions on these two? Not seeing any. Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Mr. Taylor, you have one amendment. Well, I have one amendment, but you drafted it for 546.
All right. Thank you. Good morning. So there is one amendment to proposal number O 2026-546. That's the proposal that amends the Pierce County salary classification plan. The proposal is necessary to implement the organizational changes in the Office of the Pierce County Council. Those organizational changes included 2 position conversions. As a result of those 2 position conversions, one existing position in the office becomes obsolete. And so this amendment just strikes that position that will be obsolete from the salary classification plan. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So really it's cleaning up and making it match what we're actually going to do and what we've been working towards. So any questions on this amendment? Not seeing any, so we will take those up tomorrow. Now we're going to talk about grants, Mr. Boki.
Thank you, Chair Hitch and Paul Boki, council staff. And I was jumping up here because these are all great grants today. Really make changes in our community. And so and the first one is, the first three are transportation grants. And the first one is a Safe Routes to School grant. And so this is one you're quite familiar with because I think we've tried in the past to get it. Maybe this time we'll get it. B Street East, 159th Street East to 152nd Street East. So that is in the Spanaway area. And it's not shown on your map, but there's two schools impacted by this: Spanaway Middle School, which it runs right next to, and Thompson Elementary. So it is a $750,000 request. We have 3 years to implement it. It is it's under CRP 5968, so it is in our transportation improvement plan. And Safe Routes to School, B Street East. So Ms. Becca Osterhaus from our Planning and Public Works Department is here to answer your questions on this.
Thank you. Anything to add, Ms. Osterhaus?
Just one clarifying comment there. Mr. Boki did a great job. We have sought grant funding on this project before, and we have been successful. So we do have some federal funds on this project, and we're seeking these state funds for a local match and some additional funding gaps there. So just wanted to provide that clarification.
Thank you. Before you unmute, and this applies to a couple of these, as I was looking through the packet, it appeared that these say they're fully funded. And maybe I misread it, but so if we did receive these grants, would we then move our local dollars out so we can do other projects and use these state dollars to?
That's exactly correct. Yes. Yeah. Okay. We would be able to leverage our local dollars elsewhere with these.
Or potentially dollars. Cover the cost of increased construction that we are experiencing right now. Okay.
Accurate.
Okay. Thank you. We'll talk about the second one, Mr. Boki. Or the third one.
Second one.
Second one. Okay.
So this is a complete streets application. It's with the state 2026 TIB Complete Streets program. It is another Safe Routes to School, B Street East. So but it's farther south, 176th Street East to 192nd Street East. And I believe that we've asked for funds in these in the past, so this might be one of these that are partially funded. And what I found is Challenger High School is in that area, along with the Bethel, you know better than I do.
Their resource center. Yeah, the Family Resource Center is located there.
And a lot of housing and new development along that street in that area. So this project will supplement our existing state modal account budget to address cost overruns while maintaining complete streets and ADA goals. It is a $2 million request running from 2027 to 2029. And Ms. Osterhaus is here to answer your questions.
Thank you. Anything to add, Ms. Osterhaus?
Nothing more to add. Thank you.
Okay. Questions from committee or council members? Not seeing any. Well, here's hoping that we pick up both of these grants. That would be fantastic. And we'll take a look at the third one.
And the third one is in the Frederickson area. So we go east and a little bit south, 208th Street and 46th Avenue East. It is in our plan, so it's CRP 5906. And it is in an intersection. So the plan would be Let me pull that information. It's, I saw that. It's to fix that intersection with, I have that information, excuse me. Construct single-lane roundabout with the associated sidewalk, illumination, and storm drainage improvements. And so on the map, you see it's an intersection right there on 208th and 46th Avenue East. So Ms. Osterhaus is here to answer your questions.
Thank you. Ms. Osterhaus, anything to add?
Other than apologies that our callouts on this vicinity map for some reason didn't pull through to the agenda, but you can see there at 208th and 46th is where this project is located, and apologies that's not called out here.
Is that close to where we have an elementary school and a middle school?
This one's not adjacent to any schools. I mean, I know there's some in the area, but not to the benefit of a school the way the others are. This
Okay.
is a roundabout project more for mobility and safety.
Okay, perfect. Could not remember where the two schools were along that corridor, unless I'm thinking of the wrong road, which is also possible. Okay. Any other questions from council members? Well, thank you, Ms. Osterhaus, and good luck. We'll keep our fingers crossed. And we'll take a look at the fourth grant.
The next is from the Family Justice Center, and it is a federal direct grant, legal assistance for victims grant program, increases access to legal assistance for victims of domestic and / dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking who are seeking relief in legal matters relating to or arising out of the abuse or violence. It funds projects that provide comprehensive legal assistance and is defined in federal law. And the projects must include organizations that have a mission and history of providing direct services to victims of domestic and dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking. This is a $900,000 request. It's for 3 years from 2026 to 2029. Included in your packet, I believe, should be a fairly lengthy memo from the Crystal Judson Family Justice Center regarding how these dollars will be spent and background information. And I won't go into all of it, but it is I believe 5 pages long, and it does provide a lot of information about the program. I will note that they do have a breakout of the $900,000 and how that will be spent. Tacoma Pro Bono is set to get $450,000. The Family Justice Center itself will get $135,000. Our Sister's House, $105,000. Rebuilding Hope, $105,000. And the YWCA Pierce County, $105,000. So with that, we have Ms. Najma Mohammed on the line to answer any of your questions about this.
Thank you. And I think she's the Crystal Judson name on the thing. So are there questions? So I will just flag, just for my colleagues' benefit, one of the things that has come out of the work that this council has done through performance audit when we did the domestic violence performance audit, where we really looked into gender-based violence, brought a lot of people to the table to talk about how do we deliver, what services are needed, and how do we work together. And under the leadership of Director Van Adder and some of the partnerships that have been created when doing that learning together, legal services is one of the things that keeps coming up. If you have kids and you're working within the system, it can take 9, 10, 11 visits with legal support to go through navigating our complex system, and the system itself can be used against survivors. So really appreciate the collaboration with some of these providers, and then the legal focus we have through ARPA dollars allocated directly to Tacoma Pro Bono that is coming to an end in 2026. And so there truly is a need to try and figure out how we do more. Ms. Mohammed, do you have anything to add?
No, that was beautifully said. Our hope is to build on that collaboration approach that was initially started a few years back and to have the FJC be the centerpiece of the domestic violence and sexual assault agencies throughout Pierce County. And that way survivors do not have to navigate multiple systems.
Thank you. So we're excited to see them starting to look about how they collaborate and apply for some of these dollars. So any objections to having any of these on our consent agenda tomorrow? Not seeing any, so we will dispense with them tomorrow. Thank you all. So we're going to look at committee agendas, and committee agendas are back, everybody.
Committee agendas are back. So this afternoon, there is a Public Safety Committee meeting. There's one discussion item, and that's the co-responder program overview, and that will be presented by multi-care staff and the Sheriff's Department. On Tuesday, tomorrow, beginning at 9:30, you have an Economic and Infrastructure Development Committee meeting. There are two proposals on this agenda and one discussion item. First proposal is O 2026-539, and this is establishing a prohibition on the use of compression brakes along Ording-Kapowson Highway East in the Graham Community Plan area. This has an August 11th final hearing date. Next is O 2026-544. This is vacating portions of 174th Street East, or Gold Street, and East D Street, or Spanaway Boulevard. And this has an August 18th final hearing date. And the last item is entitled Proviso, Herbicide Alternatives for Roadway Vegetation Management, and that will be with Planning Public Works staff. Tomorrow at noon, you have your regular Tuesday study session. In addition to your usual agenda items, there is an executive session listed there, and that may take a little bit of time as well, so just plan for that. And at 3 p.m. is your council meeting, and those are the meetings for the remainder of this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Kind of looking for guidance with staff for the EIDC meeting. Do we feel like it's going to be a longer meeting than normal? Okay. I'm just trying to make sure people will have a break between EIDC and study session, since we have a potentially 45-minute executive session is what I'm hearing. Okay. Mm-hmm. So people will be able to have a human moment. Okay. Any questions on committee agendas? Not seeing any. So, and there's no amendments to any of the proposals in committee that we are aware of. So we will move on to administrative items. Ms. Long is going to chat with us. We did tease this last week, but we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive on the Wilkeson, or no, I keep saying Wilkeson, South Prairie conversation.
Yes, so we did talk about this very briefly last week, and I'll go through the process in a little bit more detail. And then Hugh and I are tag teaming on this, so if there are details to add, feel free to jump in or to ask either one of us on this. So just as far as some background goes, and again, this is on the South Prairie, the town of South Prairie vacancies. So position 5 on the town council became vacant as a result of the resignation of Ross Watkins. That was effective back in May of 2025, so over a year ago. Position 3 on the South Prairie Town Council became vacant as the result of a resignation of Mark Kozlarich, effective May 14th, 2025. So again, over a year ago. The terms of both of those positions, 3 and 5, expired on December 31st, 2025. And up to that time, there had been no appointments made to fill either of those vacancies. And in May 2026, nobody filed for those positions, and to date, no appointments have been made to fill those positions, so they are still vacant after over a year. State law provides that a vacancy on an elected, nonpartisan position on a governing body of a town shall be filled by appointment by the remaining members of the governing body. If the governing body fails to appoint a qualified person to fill that vacancy within 90 days of the vacancy, so that would have brought that 90-day period would expire end of July, beginning of August of last year. If there is no appointment during that time, the authority of the governing body to fill the vacancy ceases, and the county legislative authority shall appoint a qualified person to fill the vacancy. At that time, I know we were in conversations with the town of South Prairie. There was nobody who was qualified and interested. And so the council didn't really have anybody to appoint at that time. So the members of South Prairie Town Council failed to appoint, and then the town's authority to appoint transferred to the council. So state law provides that if the county council does not appoint a qualified individual with 180 days of the vacancy, the town council or the county council may petition the governor to make that appointment. So the council didn't make the appointment within 180 days of the vacancies, and no formal petition was ever filed to the governor by the town or the council. Although recently the governor's office was contacted by the town of South Prairie, and the governor's office basically deferred back to the county council to make the appointment. And so who is qualified to serve? Qualifications under state law means, in this case, you have to be a United States citizen, you have to be 18 years of age or older, a registered voter within the jurisdiction or district that they seek to represent, must be a resident of the state, county, and town for at least 30 days before they file the declaration of candidacy or at the time of the appointment, and not be currently incarcerated for a felony. So beyond those statutory requirements, state law doesn't really govern or provide any other detail with regard to the process. The council's rules of procedure, and those are set forth in the county code at 128-180B, do address the process for filling vacancies in a nonpartisan, non-judicial elective office. And they provide that we must advertise for the position in a newspaper of general circulation. So we would do that in the News Tribune, in the official county newspaper, which is the News Tribune, and on the county's webpage. In the past, we've always included whatever the local newspaper is for the area. And I just received word back from Judy that there is a local-ish newspaper in that area entitled the Courier Herald. So we'll definitely put it in there. I know for Roy, which you might be familiar with, that was an appointment that was made similar to this a couple years ago, and we published in the Nisqually Herald for that one. So trying to follow our previous processes. So the code also provides that the Rules and Operations Committee shall appoint an ad hoc committee to review all applications received, and that committee shall select no more than 5 names of qualified candidates for each vacancy and submit those names to the council. So the last go around when we did Roy, Rules appointed a committee of Councilmember Krueger, as that was in her district, Councilmember Morell and Councilmember Denson. They didn't really have a job to do because there was only one application that was received in that case. So we'll just see. Our recommendation really is that Rules just appoint itself to do it because they already have meetings scheduled. They already have their open process set up, and that really would probably be the most convenient. We're not expecting a flood of applications. Actually, we know that there are 2 people interested to fill each of those positions. There could be more after we advertise, but I think that's what staff would recommend, that it just be the Rules Committee to review the applications received. But again, that's up to you. And then finally, the code provides that the council shall interview each of the candidates in a regular or special meeting open to the public. You can go into executive session to discuss qualifications. And then you must make the appointment in a meeting open to the public by resolution. And finally, the person appointed serves until a qualified person is elected at the next election at which a town council position would normally be elected. And that person who is elected shall take office immediately and serve the remainder of the unexpired term. So the unexpired term would go until 2029, December 2029. And our thought is that when we advertise, we'll put it in the newspaper on our website. We will include a link to an application so that they fill out the, crucial information. They get a little information about what the position is. We can get information back to make sure that they're qualified under statute. And our thought is to allow a 3-week period from the advertisement to the deadline. And then those appointments would come back, rules would review them, forward them to the council for appointment.
Okay. Are there questions from council members? Go ahead, council members.
One quick question. Are you able to provide a little context around the process that the town of South Prairie went through prior to this coming to us?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I think at the time there was nobody who was interested and qualified, and they didn't have anybody to appoint, and then the time expired.
Got it.
That's
Okay.
my understanding, and if there are more details, I'll certainly track those down for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Two kind of question comments. The first is Councilmember Morrell represents that area but is not part of rules. I think for me, I'd want to know whether he wants to be part of the process or wants to be hands. Sometimes there's benefits for not being on that level, but there's also benefits too. So
Right.
if he did, I would suggest that if we use the majority of rules, either add him, which then that's a majority of the council. I don't know if that matters, since it's an ad hoc committee, or somebody from rules would step off and join. But
Yeah, and we can accommodate whatever you
Okay.
decide to do that, yeah.
okay, so I just want to make sure if he wants to be involved at that level. Again, sometimes you don't want to because you may know the candidates and things like that. So we can touch base with him. My second wonder is around the process. It's like, what's the timeline we are really thinking about for this? Like, do we start it through appointing the committee and then the clock starts?
So our thought is, first of all, and Hugh, you can elaborate too, is the thought is maybe we start off by a resolution acknowledging that you're going to make the appointment and setting forth your process in a resolution. That will help us in the future to remember what was done, since these happen so infrequently. And then, like we said, we will advertise, set a 3-week deadline for applications to be received. During that interim period, rules can appoint the members of the ad hoc committee.
Okay.
So they're ready to go when we get the applications in. Depending on how many, honestly, I don't think there's going to be a flood of applications. It's a really small town and you have to be a resident of the town. So the committee can review the applications pretty quickly, I'm assuming, and then come back to the council. We'll have a resolution introduced with a blank appointing resolution 1 or 2 resolutions, probably 2, maybe. And so
And then-
resolutions will only require that, you probably won't have to go back to rules again on the resolutions. I imagine they can go directly to council unless you choose otherwise. So 1-2 weeks after that, it could be before the council for final consideration.
And then would we so there's 2 specific positions. Would people apply for a specific position, or can we just go any who's willing to do this and then we just plug and play?
I think that you could open the application to anybody who's interested, but your appointment would be specific to the position.
Okay. But we wouldn't have like people applying to position 3 and then people who were like, I don't care, I just want to be on the council apply to, they have to do 2 applications, I guess is
No,
what I'm asking.
I don't know that that would be necessary because they're not districts.
Right. Okay. So we just have 2 vacancies to fill with whoever
Yes.
shows up. And what if we also don't get any applicants? Or we only get 1?
If you get 1, then you can appoint 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't force people.
Right.
Okay. Okay. We should find some high school graduates. It'd be interesting for the town of
Chair,
Wilkeson.
Can I just add a couple things
Yeah.
real quick? So I did speak to Councilmember Morell's office. I believe he will have interest in serving
Okay.
on the selection committee. And then in regard to the resolution that Ms. Long just spoke to kick off the process, staff will have that prepared and ready for introduction either by tomorrow or by next week. I know time is of the essence for the town here. And my third comment is in regard to the 2 positions and whether or not they need to be identified. I think the one variable we probably need to look at is if there's a difference in the terms of office, because that might, I'm not certain how the town is structured. They're the same. Okay. Okay, they have the same. Okay,
Okay.
okay, then that's less of a consideration. But I just wanted, the Councilmember Morell's office did express interest in serving.
Okay, so maybe when we're all present, or maybe at Rules next week, we can have a conversation about whom on Rules wants to not add this to their workload, and we can figure it out and then figure out the numbers, so. Okay, sounds good. So we'll start working on the resolution to get that memorialized and also kick off the process. And then are we working on an internal form? Some sort of application form is being created?
We do have a application form that was created for the City of Roy appointment.
Okay.
That'll be modified slightly because there's a little difference with the town of South Prairie in terms of the qualification requirements. But otherwise, we'll be ready to go quickly.
Perfect. Okay. Any further questions on this? Not seeing any, then we will move on to other business. We have an update on the Spanaway Lake Management District Number 1 vote and next steps, and it did pass. Yay. We love it when communities choose to tax themselves for good work. So, Ms. Brett Hunt.
Hi, Erica Rhett Hunt, council staff. So yes, the vote did pass with 74% in favor of reauthorizing the district. So in general, the voter turnout, about 46 to 47% of the ballots that were mailed were returned. As you may recall from the resolution, it's not one vote per person. It's 1 vote per foot of frontage that you have access to. So it's a weighted vote, and the weight came out 74% in favor. The first thing I want to do is actually give a really big thank you to our Pierce County Elections Center who helped with the effort. This type of a ballot is not part of their regular responsibility. And so when we reached out to them, Kyle Haw and Brad Purcell were so generous with their staff time and with working with us and agreeing to do what they do best, which is to count the votes. And so just a big thank you from the council staff and also the public works staff that we're coordinating with. From the outset of the process, they were really wonderful, and we're so thankful that they were able to provide us with timely, accurate results in the middle of all the other work they're doing. And they were, they're getting ready for a busy election season this year, and primary. So we are working on the next piece of legislation. We have 2 pieces of legislation that need to be accomplished before we can keep this district going for another 5 years. The next piece of legislation is going to reauthorize the district. It's going to identify the proposed tax roll, and designate a process where people can make objections. So 5 years ago, when we went through this process, the council is able to appoint a hearing committee to hear any objections. The council can do it themselves, but we went through the process of nominating a committee last time. And so that's something that this ordinance may do as well, unless you wanted to talk about another special committee or another committee, existing committee of the council or the council itself to process this. But last time there were 3 objections that were filed and heard by the committee. We don't know if there will be more or there will be less this time, but just as a point of reference for the process last time. So the committee met once to hear the objections and 2 days later met again to discuss and finalize their responses to the objections. Overall, that process happens within a 40-day appeal period for the reauthorization of the district itself. And then the final piece of legislation is the ordinance that finalizes the tax roll and sends it on to our assessor or treasurer so they can get everything in line to start collecting the assessment on January 1st of next year. Does anyone have any questions about the process or?
So questions. So I think the last time, if I remember correctly, the makeup of the committee was the chair of the council at the time, and then at the time it was the executive pro tem, which was Councilmember Morrell.
That's correct. It was Derek Young and Dave Morrell.
Okay. And I did speak with Councilmember Krueger. She does not want to be on the committee because it is her district, and she would be deciding property assessments on her constituents and feels like that direct action is not her place. And I actually agree. I feel like that would be an awkward thing to do. So I'm happy to serve on it, and we'll probably look either to Councilmembers Morrell or Herrera, who represent more rural parts of the county, to also serve. So unless there was a burning desire from one of my colleagues on the dais to do this, I figure this is one of those, you're the chair, you get to just do these fun things. Okay, I will work. And then if Councilmembers Morrell and Herrera are not available, then we'll have another conversation. But that was my thinking. So, because it just takes 2. We could make it bigger.
You could appoint
the whole council.
You could appoint as many as you wanted, but for past practice, the one time we did this, we appointed 2.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I will reach out to our other colleagues and we'll try and get this started as soon as possible so that we're ready for when's the timeline for this one, I guess.
So kind of working back, I actually did confirm with the assessor's office about when they need the information. So we'd be looking at trying to have the final adoption of the second ordinance by December 1st.
Okay.
So working back from that, we have a little bit of time, but we should get moving, mostly so that we can initiate the 40-day appeal period, which is the biggest window that we need to leave open.
Okay.
Hopefully getting the ball rolling on this end of August, early September.
And we need to appoint the committee before we can do the notice.
Correct. So in the next ordinance that's coming, we can appoint the committee within the ordinance. That's what they did last time. And we will also be looking forward to what's the hearing date, because once we set the process and appoint the committee, we need to send all the property owners a letter basically saying, and also publish in our newspaper of general circulation, but letting people know that they have the ability to object and that they need to submit an objection in writing prior to the hearing.
Okay, sounds good. Any additional questions or comments? Not seeing any, so thank you. We'll get started on those next steps.
Thank you.
And I will talk to either Councilmembers Morel or Vice Chair Herrera. Other business before us or other topics?
Staff has no further business, Madam Chair.
Okay, anything from council members? Seeing no other business, just a reminder, we do have committees this afternoon. So back to business. Seeing no other business, we are adjourned. Thank you all.